Alexa, stop. I recently picked up a FireCube TV, and this is the 4K model. They were on sale for the Black Friday 2 weeks that Amazon kind of has been running here. Normally it cost 120 bucks, which was a bit expensive in my opinion, but they cut the price in half for $60. It looks like this. It's Alexa enabled, so you can talk to it. And long story short, this thing is a Fire TV 4K stick and an Alexa Dot or Echo or whatever you want to call them put into one device. It's a little bit more powerful than that, and let's talk a little bit more about what's actually in the box. Inside the box you have the Cube, which is a decently solid feeling piece of electronics. It has some really super shiny glossy sides, so if you touch it a lot, it's going to be a fingerprint magnet. But this thing's going to be sitting in your TV cabinet, so it's not really going to do that. You also have included the power cable, an IR sensor, so you can actually put it away, or you can talk to other things that are away, so you can kind of use the remote control from that. And then you'll also have a dongle which allows you to hook it up to Ethernet if you want, and also use external USB storage, which is a feature that a lot of other versions of streaming sticks don't have available to them. Internally, this thing is the exact same as the Fire TV pendant. That thing's kind of weird to me. It's about $60 or $70. It just plugs into an HDMI port and just kind of hangs off. I always found that kind of a weird solution. I know it's pretty common with things like the Chromecast and things like that, but it's kind of a weird solution to me. I like something that kind of sits where it needs to be or just kind of stays in place, not hanging. I always didn't like that. So it comes with 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigabytes of internal storage, which is double that on the original Fire Stick. The original stick came with only 8 gigs of storage. When you look at the operating system, which runs about 2.5 gigs, you're only left with about 5.5 gigs worth of space on the original stick. This one, you have plenty of space for games, apps, whatever you want to have on there. There's enough room for all of that. Plus, as I mentioned earlier, you have the external storage, which really helps. This thing also runs 4K, has Dolby Atmos support, and it also has HDR10 reach support. Not anything that I'm doing anything with. This is running on a 1080 TV for me, but I figure more power is better when I'm going through this because hopefully it'll respond faster and work better than what the Fire Stick TV did. And before I dive into all of the ins and outs of this thing and what I think of it the week that I've had it, let me just talk very quickly about why we're doing this. We bought this because we got rid of cable and we wanted to go through and figure out a streaming solution, which we have. We use DirecTV Now, which I'll talk about that at some point in the future because I have some words about that. But it goes through and connects my Netflix, my Amazon Prime, and a whole bunch of other services that we're subscribed to. It brings them all in-house to one spot, which is really nice, really easy. And also, if we decide to go with another streaming service, let's say we got rid of DirecTV Now, we can jump to pretty much any other streaming TV service without any hassle. It's just as far as adding in a new app, signing in, and we're ready to go. Now, one of the things I really like about this is that it has voice control. Now, we previously had 3 different remotes. We had a remote for the TV, a remote for the cable, and then we also had a remote for our sound system. Now, the problem was that our sound system one, we lost it. So we haven't used our soundbar and the good quality sound in like a year and a half. And we've bought other remotes and we've lost them as well. So we just kind of stopped buying remotes for it. Now with the Alexa remote, you can go in and actually control sound up and down. But the big thing is I can just sit there and say, Alexa, turn on my TV. And it will turn on not only the TV, but the soundbar as well, which is a giant win. I can also have it switch inputs, so I can talk to my TV and say, Alexa, switch to Xbox, and it will automatically switch over to my Xbox input. It's super, super convenient and very, very quick and easy to set up. As far as talking to your TV, I think you're still gonna wanna have a remote for most of the things you're doing. You don't have to use the remote if you don't want to, but for my circumstance and what I've seen, I really think the remote's the way to go for most things on this. It's faster than voice control, it's a little bit easier to use, and it's kind of intuitive. We're still used to having remotes, and even though this is a much smaller remote than what we're normally used to, it's a little bit easier to use than just using your voice. And again, it's much, much, much faster. Alexa, open Netflix.
Here's Netflix.
Alexa, go home. But as I said, this thing runs all of the popular streaming services. You can use an internet browser on it if you wanted to. If you lost your remote, you can use your phone to connect to it and use it that way. But again, you could just use your voice if you wanted to. I tell Alexa to turn off and on the TV all the time, to open up different apps. And one of the things I really like is it connects to all the other Echo devices that you have in your house. So I have an Echo Dot in my kitchen. When I come down in the morning, I say, Alexa, turn on the TV. And before I go into the living room, the TV's already on and ready to go. Stupid? Yes. Convenient? Yes. Unnecessary? Absolutely. But it's one of those things that I just really like to have. And it's one of those conveniences that is just there. It's unnecessary, but I like it. As far as the usage of this thing goes, it's pretty quick and responsive. Some apps are better than others. DirecTV Now really needs some work. It's much slower than all of the other apps on the device. But as far as how everything else works, it works great. I can ask it to search for something, it finds it. If I don't want to say something, I can type it in. It's really just a catch-all for pretty much anything you want to do. And I've had personally no problems getting it to switch inputs, and the first time out, I didn't even do anything. All I did was power my devices on, it found everything, it mapped them, and I was able just to talk from there, and it worked. So is this thing the most amazing streaming device in the whole world? Probably not. There's other streaming devices that are really good, but this thing is solid. I mean, it's really solid. I don't think I'm going to be switching to anything else at this point. I can talk to it, I can go through and use all the popular streaming services, and it just works. My only thing that I'm really upset about right now that I'm still trying to figure out a solution for is the YouTube app doesn't really exist. You can do it through the browser, which is Silk, which if you go all the way back to the original Amazon Fire, the little tablet that came out like 5 or 10 years ago, that was the original browser that they kind of offloaded some of the work for, so it seemed faster. I don't notice it being any faster on my TV than anywhere else. It's really not made for that. But if you want to use YouTube, you have to use the browser, or you can use a third-party app. And third-party apps, from what I found, are rather lacking. They have weird graphical issues where the screen's bumped up, or they just don't function the way that I would want YouTube to function. I'm very used to using YouTube on my Xbox, and having it on the Alexa is just not the same, and it's there. The only other thing I would really suggest that this thing does is that the buttons be mappable in a different way for different apps. So what I mean by that is the home button will take you home all the time, which I hit that by accident when hitting play and pause. But the fast forward button, I'd really like that to be able to skip forward things on DirecTV Now, and I know that's an app-based issue. But if that could be something that could be worked out, that would make life so much better. Especially with like YouTube, if there's a button where I could just click on subscriptions and scroll through them instead of having to go back to the home page and scroll through everything, that would make life significantly easier. But this device, again, is basically an Amazon Echo, and then you have a Fire Stick TV all put into one. Does it have all the bells and whistles of either one? For the most part, yes. You can't make phone calls on it, you can't do the text messaging on it, but for controlling things wirelessly or simplifying your life, it is an outstanding option that I am absolutely in love with. If you have questions or comments about the Alexa Cube, just leave it down below and I'd be happy to answer. Until next time.